Okay, so I was watching Timcast last night. I was actually like watching it. Usually I just listen to it and passively listen to it. Um so last night, they're talking about some technology and stuff like that. Obviously politics and everything that's happening right now. Um and Tim brought up the what would you rather do? Which is pretty crazy. I'm going old school like I did a couple years ago. But anyway, um, making videos in the morning in the darkness. Anyway, so he said, would you rather be able to buy bread for 50 cents or a new iPhone for 30,000? Obviously, like the $30,000 iPhone, and that's not gonna happen because they will literally not sell any. um if they up the price to 30, if for a new phone costs the same amount as a new car, say goodbye to your revenue, say goodbye to your company. Like, you're all going under. Nobody's gonna be able to afford that except for the ultra rich people. If all the ultra rich people can only afford it, well, yeah, we'll just keep using the old technology and shit. But like, it is what it is, and then like they were saying, oh, this new iPhone is so much better, because like my whole thing is, and the other guy brought up the fact that like, dude, like these phones aren't like really upgrading significantly to warrant buying a new one. It's kind of like how I use the analogy of the video games. How I like sports games, and they come out with a sports game every year for like, NBA Live, or not even that, but like NBA 2K, and it's basically just getting the same game, slightly tweaked. Like Madden puts in stuff they had before they took out. They should never put back in, and not, like, that's supposed to be an upgrade. Not necessarily that for like phones, like they do some things, but like they brought up the fact that how cool it is to take a picture with their new phones. Ian Crossland and Tim Pool were saying this, and they can use the AI on the phone to take people out of the picture, to move them, to add things in. And it's just like, yeah, that stuff's really cool. It sounds really interesting, but guess what? I can't feed my body. I can't survive. It's not helping me survive, the average person, because it's like trying to get famous on YouTube now. Back in the day, it was so much easier to get attraction when it was first starting up. Didn't seem like it, but compared to now, since the market is so oversaturated with a bunch of content creators, it is hard to get a foothold in trying to get notoriety. That goes along with whatever I was just talking about, because I lost my train of thought. Using technology to like, so basically, like, using that technology would be helping your show, your social media. Well, how does that really help my everyday life? And if people, like, let's just say hypothetically, like all the phones just blew up that weren't brand new phones, so like nobody would be able to get on the internet through their mobile phone, unless they had a brand new one. Let's just say hypothetically they did that, or they didn't even blow up. It's just like they made a new internet and you can't access it unless you get the new phone. You cannot use it. Then nobody would use it. You know what I mean? It's like, what is more important? And it's funny to hear. I like technology. I really do. I like to see the escalation of technology be better and better. But I don't like the escalation of technology if it affects my standard of living. If it's costing more and more to go to the doctor, or for me to pay rent, or my house payment. I don't have a house payment, but for regular people, somebody that can afford houses, like a mortgage, or paying for utilities, or to put food in your belly, like those things are way more important than technology. I'm sorry, because like you can't, unless, because it is getting in, like using that technology. My whole point is like using that sophisticated technology should be like boosting your business to try to get you more revenue on the internet, social media wise. Well, if I can't compete, or it's going to be really hard to compete on the internet for attention, so I don't need that technology because I'm not really doing anything with it anyway. Yeah, these rich people can afford it, you know, that are well off, and you know, they got to keep up, you know, that's why they make their infrastructure good and nice. And you know, obviously, like me, you can see I'm poor because I just use my cell phone. Like I don't have any fancy like microphones. I don't worry about the lighting. I don't care. I'm not big, you know what I mean? I don't have much people's attention, so I really don't care. It's not really benefiting me to sit here and put in all this work, say hypothetically making all these videos just more interesting, more fun, edit the hell out of them, right? Editing out my uhs or my pauses in thought. I can easily do all that. But I don't rewatch any. I hardly watch any of my own content at all. What I do with me is I just film it, throw it up. That's what I do. I don't sit here and just like watch myself. Sometimes I was with like my shorts or like my music, but with my long form content, I rarely look at it. And I don't look at it before I upload it. I just upload it. So obviously, if I had a huge audience, I would probably be paying more attention to that. I'd probably be paying more attention to what I put out. I just don't care. You know, I put out what I think, and boom. It's kind of like my own mini little podcast with just myself. That's what this is. I don't have any schedules, but anyway, so like, yeah, a lot of these conservative people, you know, are advocating for, oh, get off the internet, you know, get out in real life because real life is so cool, it's so fun. And then it's just like, cool, man, but then like your views will go down, nobody will watch you no more, you won't get any revenue. You don't care about that? Oh, you got employees to fucking feed. Oh, okay, yeah. So, you know, you want us off the internet? Okay, cool. Let's make it so technology is super expensive, so only rich people can afford it, so I can have a better life. You know, that's what it should be. You know, everything is flipped upside down. You know, our culture is all about worshiping the rich, the people who have it really, really well off. Look at these houses I'm going by the way. They're really small, man. You know, I know it's not maybe you guys can see that one. It's just like regular houses. These are like, and I was just walking past them yesterday. These are just like regular houses, dude. Small houses. I would take one of these. I'd love to have a house like this. You know, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, whatever. Well, most Gen Z can't afford this shit. You know, healthcare is, you know, highly unaffordable. Health insurance is highly unaffordable. Food is extremely expensive. And we have like access to so much of this stuff, yet the prices keep going up. You know? There's always a balance and everything like that, but it's like, if we made it easier, so like, what would happen if we hypothetically made new phones $30,000 to buy? You would have people getting off the internet. You would have people starting to connect with each other, and maybe that should happen. You know, there is a good portion of people in Gen Z that feel there's no point to save for the future, and I don't blame them for that sentiment. We don't know what the hell is gonna happen. You know, it's kind of like when I was raising my kids, and I put every single dollar into funding our moving forward, so we can pay. I paid my bills, other than worrying about a 401k, because at that time that was most important to me, making sure my kids were taken care of, making sure we had everything we needed. I never got child support. I raised my kids on my own after they were 5 and 7, and which I think was a very crucial thing for their mom to be very in their lives when they're at that age, when they're really little. I think that's very huge. She was basically there all the time, basically like almost a stay-at-home mom. So that was very crucial. Where am I going with this before I lose train of thought again? Yeah, I didn't care about a 401k. You know, I didn't care about, oh, I gotta worry about my future. Like, no, I gotta worry about like now, because everything is this is more important. And it was almost like because I had to put so much of my time and effort into being a house a house mom, a homemaker, working a full-time manly fucking job, hard labor job, to put food on the table, paying all the bills, doing fucking everything, making sure shit's clean, you know, making sure shit's taken care of, making sure the kids are fucking going to school, making sure like they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're not like getting in trouble at school. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing their work, trying to have a relationship with them, with having all that burden. It's like all that stuff, all that pressure on me. Do you think I really cared about a 401k at that point? And that's where Gen Z is at. You know, that's like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy right now. You know, because like that's what it feels like. It feels like I can't save. That's what they feel. Dude, if everything is so expensive just to get by, you know, just to get by, how the hell am I supposed to like save for anything? That's why there's a lot of them that just threw their hands up and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, keep having my lattes at Starbucks. But you know, that was the trope, is they didn't care. They're just gonna have the $5 lattes, you know. And the whole mindset of not caring about your future, that's the same type of, and I know people, oh, that's kind of like a weak argument or analogy or whatever, but you can understand the sentiment. And what I did was completely different. But also, Gen Z has been raised to be entitled and to be lazy, and so was the millennials. So like the whole thing of like the older people that, so for instance, okay, like I don't want to talk about my kids because I don't want to embarrass them, so I won't talk about this. This is what I try to avoid talking about let's just say like I left some things out. I left some things out when it comes to teaching, because I only had so much time in the day. And to see like basic things being taught later on that I'm teaching, that's like, hey, this is really easy, you know. But they don't know because they've never been taught. They don't know. Kids learn from watching us. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I always heard, well, I always didn't like my parents, and then I end up being like my parents when I got to be older. Well, that's because of the example. That's because of the environment and the conditioning that was given to them. And that's what nobody talks about. You know, nobody talks about mental illness. Nobody does. Like, it's out there, but it's just like, it's a joke. Well, can we fix things? Can we make things better? You know, that's the whole point of me complaining about things, is I want things to be better, and to bring attention. Like, there's not much I can actually fix in the world. I mean, I can't fix, you know, us being at war with Russia because we were, well, not really us being at war with Russia anymore, but like that, you know what I mean? I have no control if we go to nuclear war. Like, so, but can I talk about it? Yes. That's besides the point, but it's just like, if things were easier for me to live, easier for young people to live, you know, I put up a post yesterday about, that's crazy. Anyway, I put up a post yesterday, and because every time I go to the gym, women have like yoga pants. They show everything. You can see everything. Like, they don't care. They just want to show everything off. And I put up a post on my ex that said, hey, there's nothing more attractive than a woman with a baggy sweater that covers her ass. Like, you know, kind of like they used to do in the 80s. Like yoga pants aren't nothing new. Like, they were called spandex back in the day, leggings. But if you look at the 80s, you can see how the women wore them. They covered their ass. They didn't show their ass off. Probably because they were insecure. Like, they didn't really have much of a booty back then. Like, I'm talking about, yeah, whatever. Anyway, mostly white women. But, maybe they were insecure, so they were just covering up. But I'm kind of like, dude, if I see a woman with like that, like the perfect booty or whatever, which is that, it's cool. I like it. I wish it was around me all the time, and like it wasn't her. You know what I'm talking about. You know, she's not with anybody else. But it's highly unlikely for me to be able to even come close to competing for her attention long term. Sure, I might be able to portray myself as something and kind of trick her to keep her around for a little bit, but at some point it's going to be like, dude, I can't keep this up. I can't keep trying to pretend I'm like whatever. It's unsustainable. You know, eventually, like, I won't be able to, you know, eventually you rack up all, you know, max up all my credit cards to take her out and make her, yeah. It's not, if that's all I'm relying on, like, I'm gonna be screwed at some point. But that's how people have been living. I've been living a little bit high on the hog, which I really haven't, but I have at some aspect, because when you look at the broader picture of everything and like the whole world, and you look at my life compared to everybody else's in the world, I'm living like a king, yes. But at the same aspect, I'm a minimalist, so I don't have any furniture, basically. I sleep on the floor with a mattress on the floor. So I'm poverty level. I made $41K last year. I'm poverty level. Like, dude, when people look down on me and say, like, oh, I didn't work hard enough. Like, yeah, I mean, I didn't work on my hours, but, like, I worked pretty close to 36 hours averaging last year, but I got paid how fast I worked, so I was working harder, so I didn't have to work as many. I basically came out even. If I only got paid like a hourly wage, I didn't work harder, I would have came out and I worked my 40, I would have made the same as I made working extra hard, you know what I mean? So that's how the system was set up there. It's like, dude, you realize that a lot of people aren't making a lot of money, man. Like, that's the thing, is I think that a lot of people in society think that, like, everyone makes over 100,000 or something. It's just like, it's different for every region. You know what I mean? Like, the cost of living isn't the same here in Michigan as it is in California or Mississippi. It's different. It's not the same across the board. So, you know, like, I'm moving to Missouri and the cost of living is going to be a little bit cheaper than it is here. Maybe it's changed, I don't know, but when I was living there, it was way more easy. Like, especially going from Washington State to there, it was so easy to survive compared to Washington State, man. It was so much cheaper. There was a lot of jobs. It's like, whatever. But if you want the youth, you know, to procreate, you know, that you want them to multiply, like, what we're doing now isn't working. We have to if you want people to have kids, if you want people to start families, people have to, especially women, man. Women at this point are the ones who don't really care about motherhood. And so, like, yeah, Gen Z men are just like, I'm not, you know, I told my kid, I was like, hey, I tell them both, I was like, don't worry about having a kid right now, man. Just build yourself up. I mean, it's not really worth it to try to start anything, especially if you don't have anything going for yourself. You're just starting out. So the way they are now, how they're so superficial, like, if they were like living in the 70s or the 50s, yeah, like, who cares? Go start a family. It doesn't matter. But things are completely different now. Completely different. Like, the women just, like, they don't. I'm looking at, okay, there's this one lady that works for Fox News. I think her name is Kat. It starts with a T. Timpf. I forgot her name. Timpf or something. She's got glasses, blonde hair. She just had a child, and I'm seeing all these conservative women who are podcasters, which is cool. Like, yeah, your kids are raised, cool. Get out there and get yours. You've already, like, done your job. Candace Owens, she's got little kids. She literally doesn't need to work at all. She just needs to take care of her kids. And they're out here working. Caitlin Bennett, that's another one. I'm seeing her do her little interviews that she was doing before on college campuses when she just had a kid. How much time is being taken away from that kid? That kid feels abandoned. Even conservative women, not all, these are people that are famous people, but you can see, like, the mentality of feminism and not really care, not putting motherhood, being a wife first. Their thing is like, I need to work. They're putting work. I get it. Hey, listen, if you're both struggling, bad things happen, the wife has to go to work, I get it. But the norm shouldn't be you both have to work. That shouldn't be the norm. That at all. Somebody needs to take care of the kid, whether it's the man or the woman. It's preferably the woman because she incubated the child. That's the problem. When you're looking at this landscape as a young man and you're looking at these women, and 25% of Gen Z is LGBT, so yeah, you're competing with gay. You know, they don't even like straight. They're not even, a good portion of these women aren't even straight. Maybe you're conservative or conservative leaning man, and they're so radical and political that they're very leftist. They're very leftist, you know, and they're all tatted up, have high body counts, expose themselves for everyone to see on the internet, all the privacy that should be left up to just their husband to see. Like, you being naked should just be for my eyes. That's it. Not everybody else's. Well, you're seeing a lot of I don't look at OnlyFans, you know what I mean? So, but I know that, like, what's happening. You can see it like with their social media. You can see it on Instagram. I don't even want to use Instagram. Anytime I see a woman like TikTok, like, oh, I'm gonna turn around and show my ass all the time. It's like, let me just take a video just like, and I'll put some words and maybe some music, but like it really does nothing. It does nothing. Because they're very narcissistic in our society. Like, everyone's pretty much a narcissist to some extent, but like, they're highly narcissistic. They have huge social media accounts, and what that does is it invites more people to in their personal lives that have access to more people. Humans have never had this much access to people. You look at 200 years ago, you know, and people might have only known like 30 people their whole lives, and like they were probably all their own people. You know what I mean? Now we just have all these people have access, especially with the internet. So like, you know, when I was growing up, women were like groupies to rock stars. Well, now, like, it was a rarity to have access. You know, they would go to the show and hopefully like they pick them out and they go backstage and hang out. Well, now it's like they're just sitting there hanging out in their own personal life, and then you have, you know, some famous person getting in their DMs, and they might only have like 5,000 followers on Instagram. That might not seem like a lot, but it is. It's enough to get attention. So like, they have to compete with that. They're so they got, and the obesity problem, and you know, it's just, they don't really have much to pick from. You know, like, how am I supposed to start a family with someone like that? They don't even care about being a wife or a mother. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. It's embarrassing. You know, I went through this with one of my exes. Is like, at work, I guess she did something with Girls Gone Wild when she was like younger or something, and that shit got all over the internet. Not over the internet, all over at work. Everyone's seen it at work, and that shit was so embarrassing to me. So embarrassing. Oh, you're insecure. No, that's disgusting. You just have no morals. That's all. You don't have any type of morality. That's all. You have no respect for yourself. And, you know, I don't know how to fix this problem. That, you know, I'm just a nobody. I'm just trying to like point out what the issues are. So I'm almost to my destination, but yeah, like, I think that is way more important to be able to provide. Like, I don't want to be homeless with a fucking $30,000 iPhone. No, I'm good. I don't want to be starving because I have the latest technology and I don't have a roof over my head. I don't have a place to lay my head, you know, to worry about my hygiene. Like, I have to like worry about that. Like, I want a stationary place I can go back to where I feel safe, like a regular human, like we've always done, other than like living in a van. Whatever, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's absurd that I just think that at some point people are gonna start rejecting rich people. They're gonna reject that lifestyle. They're gonna reject being like fame and fortune and realize like, probably not going to get that, and even if I did, that would cause more problems than anything. So like, yeah, that's it. I'm here.